G'day tubers and welcome to part 2 on the little BSA 120cc that I think is a Model C. I don't know about the Model C designation, but I know it's a 120cc. We've ordered some gaskets and some seals and so on and so on. We're just about ready to begin reassembly. Most of the cleanup's done. Other than that, hope you're all well and keeping away from the China virus, which is doing everyone's head in on the whole bloody planet, but that's another story. Let's get right into this, guys. Well, the stator plate on the BSA is cleaned up and done, guys. The breaker plate's got to come back off. There's the actual crankshaft seal that goes in there, so that's why this is all still loose. Cleaned up nice, put a new grommet on the high tension lead. That had to be opened up slightly to fit the slightly larger grommet, and I tore it a little bit, but you'll never see it. Points and all that have all cleaned up beautifully. Of course, they've all got to be gapped when the crank's in. Rest of it's pretty straightforward. The kill switch, all that sort of stuff's fine. So yeah, that came out nice. It looks a hell of a lot better than what it did. Well, we've started reassembly on the BSA, guys. I think some people said bloody sore ass for the motorbikes. I don't know. Valves are in, and the push rods, if you want to call them that, or tappets, I think some people like to call them. They're adjustable. I can't adjust them yet because the cam's not in, and that'll set the final gap, so it's no point trying to gap them now without a cam. So they've gone in pretty straightforward, really. As I said, the exhaust valves, the exhaust guides are a little bit dodgy, but we'll make do. Did a little bit more powder coating, people. That's the outside colour. That's come up really well. If I get results like that all the time, I'll be pretty happy. Just cleaned up a few other bits. Waiting on some gaskets and that sort of thing, some seals, so we can't really go too far, but yeah, we'll do a little bit. Well, as you know, tubers, I've attempted a couple of repairs on this tank. I thought I'll bake it in the oven a little bit before I powder coat it, just to check. Just as well I did. The solder heated up and ran. So, I thought I might have got away with it, but that's not the case. So, got to come up with something else to fix this. Well, continuing work on the bloody sore ass guys of the BSA. We're going to have a go. We'll pull apart this carby and clean it right up, check it all out. It's an Amel, as I said. It seemed, as I say, it ran all right. Got a gasket kit coming for it, hopefully. We'll clean it right up anyway and polish up the brass and that, and get it all working. I won't go to the extent of pulling the butterflies out of it. I think they'll be all right. As I say, it worked okay. Let's see what's inside. Just took the float bowl off, tubers, off the little Amel carby. Yeah, pretty dirty and crappy, but nothing that you wouldn't expect, as I say. As I say, it was a runner. Float and all that. That's the whole needle and seat assembly. Actually, you can just sort of make out the little needle and seat in there. Just got a couple more things to come off, and then we can start ultrasonic cleaning. Well, tubers, been through the carby, cleaned it all up. It's cleaning up nice. I can't reassemble it because I don't have the carby kit yet. But I've hung on to the old O-rings and stuff, so that's all right. Bowl come up beautiful. The ultrasonic cleaner does a good job. Float assembly and that. Needle and seat, rather, I should say. So that's done. Tank come up all right. That's repairs underneath. Not too bad. The powder coating's a bit dodgy. That's that filler. I didn't outgas it well enough, I think. Not too phased about that. It's underneath. More worried about is the tank going to leak because of the repairs and that. So I'm waiting on some little cork gaskets for the fuel tap. Rest of it's all painted and cleaned up and done. ready to reassemble. Didn't paint the head this time, just give it a sandblast and that, and a bit of a clean up, and just a different look, you know. It should look all right. Just something a bit different there, you know. What else have we done? Dressed up the crankshaft a bit. Where the points actually run, that had been chewed up pretty bad, so we'd stuck that in the lathe and we've cleaned that up. Cleaned up the end of the shaft there that was a bit dodgy as well with that pulley. We had trouble getting that pulley off. That's just about it, really. There's not much else to do. Got to make up an exhaust, as you know. Oh, there's a couple of little bits in there got to be cleaned. I've got to find a new spark plug. Got some bits here to make up an exhaust. Yeah, we'll fab something together, and I've got to sandblast the flywheel just to get it, you know, just so it looks sort of nice and that, just tidy it up a little bit, and then yeah, she's just about done. She's just about ready for reassembly. I can't do much more. As I say, I'm waiting on a gasket set, so as soon as I get a gasket set, she starts going back together. Little side project here, tubers. Little wire wheel, little buff. Either flat belt or V-belt driven. Won it on eBay the other day. So it just got delivered. It's missing the little cap off the oiler, unfortunately. Might be able to find one of them, but little side project. Can be driven by one of these motors. Can't put this one back together yet because I'm still waiting on the crankshaft seals and a gasket set. Yeah, I can get it, it's just taken forever. So this is all ready to go back together. The tank's all fixed and that, as you know. Yeah, oh, I made an exhaust for it too. That came up all right. So just out of some plumbing fittings and that, and just welded it up a bit and that, and a coat of black VHT. It's just sitting there at the moment, but that should be all right. Yeah, and got a couple more motors to do up here. Yeah, the little Villiers, another BSA, and another JAP. We won't worry about the little Briggsy. Yeah, so we'll get into this other little side project and yeah, see what happens. Well, quick and easy disassembly this one, guys. Pulleys and all that came off quite easily. I didn't expect any dramas. Shaft come out of that okay. Looks a little bit homemade, some of this. This is what they were using to clamp down the wheel tightly onto the shaft via that arbor or whatever you want to call it. As you can see, that's pretty slack there. So what we'll do, we might be able to build that up with a bit of weld and turn it down on the lathe so we get it a nice fit. And then we'll just put another set screw in there to hold it nice and secure, and that'll be fine. The shaft will clean up nicely. Yeah, so quick and easy one. Hey, tubers, just doing a bit more work on the little bench buffer or whatever you want to call it. Cleaned up the shaft there and on the lathe and that, and tidied all that up. Cleaned up the end of it and that. Polished them all, or you know, buffed them all, so they'd come up nice and blacked everything, so that looks good. Cleaned up the shaft. Still a few little notches in it, but I didn't want to take it down too much because the pulleys are going to be a little bit loose then. Come up all right. Welded the, if we can see that, welded the end of that and machined it down, and it's come up an absolute treat. So it's, yeah, it's, you know, it's quite sort of, I'm trying to do this one-handed, guys. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, come up an absolute treat. So I'll get some set screws, put them in there, and that's the shaft done. The more I look at it, the more I think this is probably an apprentice's, like, trade school project. I'll show you the raw casting when it's clean, and I'm tipping they were given yeah, raw casting, and obviously at trade school they've had to machine it up and just make this little tool. So I reckon someone's, you know, as an apprentice has probably had to make this up. I don't know, it's just speculating. Bit more work on this little buffing wheel, guys. Cleaned up all the housing, painted it, given it a lick of paint. The Hammerite, hammered red by the looks of it. Doesn't look very Hammerite or hammered, but anyway, that's what it is. I've probably done something wrong. Cleaned all them up, done a bit more work on the shaft and that, cleaned up the pulleys and that. One's aluminium, that one's steel. Yeah, come up all right, starting to look pretty good. I mean, it's only a little side project, but yeah, looking good. Well, tubers, that's that one just about done. I've got to get a couple of new oilers. Well, if I can get one the same as that, that'll be fine. That one's missing the lid, but I know where I can get some. But that come up all right, a little bit of polish here and there. As I say, it's not really a working thing. It's just, you know, just meant to sort of look nice. Didn't come up too bad though. It's as I say, a little bit of polish here and there, and lick of red paint seems to run all right. So yeah, that's pretty much that one. As I say, I'll get those couple of gravity feed oilers, and that's it. Well guys, finally got the gaskets for the BSA 120cc, as you can see. Thanks to Steve from Vintage Air Cooled Engine Spares .com.au, I think it is. Yeah, he sent those down to us, so that's great. We can start reassembly and new crankshaft seals as well. So there's two of them. The other one actually goes in there in the ignition plate. So cranks in. Cams in, and valves are in and clearanced. Had to muck around a little bit to get clearance. They need 12 thou. Had to grind the lifters a little bit to get that for some reason. I would suggest the valves are probably a bit stretched. So that's not a huge problem. You've just got to obviously check it. Put a bit of light on the crank here, if I can get the right spot so you can see. Where are we? Can't get the right spot. If you can make that out, there's two dots on the crank and one on the cam. If you put the one dot in between the two, that's basically timed. So that's pretty easy. What else have we done? Not much else really, only just started. Plenty of pre-lube on the cam. Yeah, but anyway, seems to be turning over nicely. So yeah, off to a good start here with this. Just with valve clearance tubers, the other thing to consider is it may not be stretched valves. It could be worn seats or worn valves. As I say, over time, if the valve wears or it's been ground a lot or whatever the case, that will alter the clearance and it will close the clearance up. Same thing with the seat. I don't know what the case is with this one. I didn't measure the valves, so I'm only guessing. It could be a combination seat and valve, but we've got the right clearance now. But yeah, just something to watch, especially because that exhaust valve guide was very, very worn. So chances are the seat's probably worn or dropped, or you know, the clearance is not the clearance. The seat is worn, and the valve is worn, so that's reduced the clearance. But yeah, I mean, look, we've got 12 thou now, so that's fine. But that's just something to consider as well. Stator plates back on, guys. Points have been set to 12 thou. Had to cut a new gasket for that actually. The one that came in the kit, which while correct, it was that brittle. Look at that. Look, you just touch it and it falls to bits. So had to cut out a new one of them, but that's all right. Yeah, going back together nicely at the moment. We'll keep going. Well guys, a bit more work on the little BSA. Pistons in, went in beautifully, rotating nicely, flywheels on. We have even got a spark. I've got to put a proper end on that. Just about to turn it over and put the pan back on, and We can put the cylinder head on and start closing it up, and we're just about done here. Well, people, there she is. The BSA is all back together. Haven't had it running yet, still got to have oil in it. Come up not bad. Yeah, not bad at all. I had to make the exhaust, as you know. But yeah, the rest of it cleaned up all right. As I say, powder coating and that, you know, come up pretty well. Did the block and all of that. Yeah, it's got good compression. Haven't got a proper spark plug boot, but that'll do for the time being. The tank is still an unknown. It may leak, I don't know. I've had some WD-40 in it for about 2 weeks and it hasn't leaked out, so that's a good sign. I've got some brand new stickers for the side there, but I won't put them on until I know that the tank's going to hold. No point putting them on to have to strip the tank. So, but yeah, she looks good. So tomorrow we're going to try and start him up and see what happens. But yeah, come up a treat. So yeah, whether it runs or not's another thing, but it looks pretty smart.